All right, guys, we are live. How you doing? Hope everyone's having a great hump day. It's Wednesday. I am now live and indirect from Medellin, Colombia. It's a beautiful day. Not weather-wise. I mean, it rained pretty much all day. But other than that, it's a pretty good day. Just because I was able to work all day, I was able to um, what do you call it? Get coffee. A friend of ours from the U.S. that lives in Mexico is in town. More coming. More are coming because of the Carnaval de Barranquilla, which is also awesome. If you've never been to the Carnival, the Barranquilla Carnival, you are missing out. It is insane. It is one of my favorite times of the year. So yeah, it's a good time of the year when people come around for Carnaval de Barranquilla. I personally love El Carnaval, so we go pretty much every year. But yeah, one of the big questions that I get a lot from people that visit here, or people that want to come and visit, or people that want to make a big life change and maybe come and live in Colombia for a while, or even just make the move and live here indefinitely. The biggest question is like, how do I make money? How do I support myself? You don't need to make a ton of money to live in Colombia, especially if you are from a country where you make dollars, pounds, euros, or any currency that has a greater value than the Colombian currency, where that currency goes a long way. Here in Colombia, one of the big questions is, well, how do I get money or make money in order to stay? So basically here in Colombia, if you're making 2,000 US dollars, or even better, 2,000 euros a month, you're all right. You're not living like a Roman emperor, but you are living above the means of most people here, meaning that you are probably living middle class to upper class here in Colombia at $2,000 a month, which is great for foreigners that want to come and visit, or want to come and extend their visit and live longer term, like for a few months while they figure out their visa stuff. A lot of them want to stay here more than just 6 months, maybe year round, live here for a few years. So the question is always, how do I make more money? How can I make more money? And my answer to that usually is pretty simple. It's like, okay, well, what do you do for a living, right? Like, what do you do, and how can you create that? How can that become something that you do remotely, online, as a service? And better yet, instead of working for a company where you do this for someone for a certain amount of time every day, where you're basically trading hours for money, how can you make it not only as a freelancer, but maybe even start your own little business? So that's usually my answer to that question. It's like, what do you do for a living, and how can you commute that into an online business? That's usually the best answer, is to create an online business out of what you do for a living, what you're really good at. It doesn't even have to be what you're really good at. It's something that you've known for a while and it generates income and you like doing it. Maybe that's not what you're doing right now in your current job, but it's something that you know. For example, maybe you studied digital art. You're a graphic artist, but maybe right now what you're doing is not related to graphic art, but you're an artist, you're a graphic artist, you know branding, you know marketing, etc. How can you make that into a job, or not a job, but maybe even a digital business? It usually starts out as a job. As a freelancer, you're working and trading hours or trading projects for money, and that's fine, but you're going to reach a cap, and if you're okay with that cap, I say go for it. If you're okay with, okay, there's only X amount of hours I can work per day. And right now my hourly rate, since I'm just getting started, is only, 20 pounds per hour or maybe less, or $20 per hour or 20 euros per hour, whatever it is, or less. I started out at $10 an hour. This was like 10 years ago when the peso was 2 to 1. Right now the peso is closer to 4 to 1, meaning that for $1 you get almost 4,000 pesos, where 10 years ago when I first got here, it was under 2 to 1. It was like almost 15 to 1. Not 15 to 1, 1,500 pesos to $1. So for $10 an hour, it wasn't like I was making an exorbitant amount of money. I was making enough money to be able to pay bills, live life, do some fun stuff, which was obviously involved weekend partying for me, until I got serious and said, okay, I no longer want to trade hours or projects that I complete for money. I want to start hiring other freelancers. I want to start hiring other freelancers, maybe in Colombia, or maybe in the Philippines, in India, where I get even better rates. They're a little bit more difficult to work with because of the language barrier, the cultural barrier, and also the service delivered for such a lower amount of money sometimes can be lower. So you have to train them, etc. It's a learning curve, but everything in life has its learning curve. But that's how I started. 10 years ago, I started as a freelancer trading hourly, $10 an hour, to projects. I'd complete a project and then I'd charge for it, or I'd charge half up front and then half when the project is completed, etc. But that's how you have to start. Sometimes you have to start working for free or very, very cheaply in order to create your own portfolio, create your own case studies, create your own evidence for future clients, until you're able to charge what we charge now, is between $80 to $150 an hour for our work. But that took, like I said, about 10 years to develop. So it doesn't happen overnight, unless if you are already an expert in the field that you work in. And I've seen this before, where you're an expert in the field that you work in right now, you're working for an hourly wage or you're working for a salary, but you want to become independent and you create your own business out of it. Those people usually have a very high rate of success, in my experience, to the ones that I've talked to that have made the move to Colombia, because they already know their industry. They already have contacts in the industry that they want to work in as a consultant or as a freelancer or as a small business or medium-sized business. Sometimes it grows to a big business, but there's always they have that unfair advantage. And it's not really unfair because they've worked for it so long, or they've worked in that industry as a salaried employee or as an hourly employee, that now they can branch out and become their own boss and run their own business. And all of them always tell me that, being a salaried employee was an easier life than running a business now. But running a business makes them a ton more money, and they have more freedom as far as time, making their own schedule. But yes, at the beginning, it is way more stressful. You're dealing with new employees. You're dealing with maybe a new skill set that you haven't developed as a salaried employee, like managing and leading a team, which is something that you have to learn. So today I want to talk about 4 tips to get a client fast and make money. Whether you want to make your move to another country like Colombia, where I'm at, or maybe you want to stay in your own country but you want to become independent, or you want to work on your side hustle and create this extra stream of income. I'm going to start recording here. Okay. Welcome to Life Hacks with Andrew. I'm Andrew Messia. Today we're talking about 4 tips to get a client and make money fast. In this video, I'm going to go over those 4 tips. They are: number 1, learn how to sell. Number 2, work for friends, family, associates, acquaintances, colleagues. Number 3, get referrals from friends, family, associates, and colleagues. Number 4, approach strangers. So let's get to it. Before I get to number one, which is learn how to sell, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my story, a little bit of edification, because you're probably watching this video and be like, well, who the hell is this guy? How does he know how to make money? Well, let me start from the beginning. When I was broke, I needed to get clients yesterday, and I was broke 10 years ago. Many of you don't know, but I got to Colombia when I was 29 years old in 2010 because I was deported from the United States of America. My family entered the United States in 1985 when I was 4 years old illegally. My legal status was always in progress and process, paperwork, and I never gained legal status. And in 2009, I believe it was, I rolled a stop sign and I was driving on a suspended license or an expired license. And I had to go in front of a judge. And because of this, I could have paid $3,000 to the state of California or do a weekend in jail. And since many of you know, I have been to jail before. I had been to jail before. I did jail time when I was 22 years old. I said a weekend, I could do that standing on my head instead of paying the $3,000, which I would have had to pay with credit cards when I was, 29 in 2009 or 28. So I didn't do that. The judge said, okay, weekend jail, show up at this local, it wasn't even a county jail. It was a local police station jail, which was super easy to do. I went there, did that. And once I was in there, the system showed up that I was not legal. I was detained by immigration, and the long and lengthy process of me being incarcerated yet again and getting deported, which was a terrible time and horrible time. I had the option to fight the case in front of the immigration judge and tell him like, hey, look, I got here when I was 4 years old. Yeah, I fucked up driving on a suspended license or whatever, but I've been here my whole life. I'm a productive member of society. I've been to jail, but I was reformed, etc. I don't know the country that you want to send me to. I've never been there in my whole life, other than the fact that I was born there until I was like 4 years old. I could have fought that, but many people get stuck in the system and they have to wait 1 to 2 years behind bars to fight for their opportunity to stay in the United States. I know myself, and I can make it anywhere you put me in the world. And I said, give me the paperwork so I could get the fuck out of here. And I did that, and then I landed after many flights. I landed in Bogota, Colombia with zero money, zero graduation, or zero degree, zero university degree, very little to no corporate experience because I've never been a corporate employee. I've never had a salaried job. To this day, the only time I've had a salaried job was when I hired myself when I was 36 years old a few years ago, and I built my digital marketing agency big enough where I can hire myself and give myself benefits like health insurance, paying into the pension system here in Colombia, etc. So you could imagine I needed to make money now or yesterday when I got here in 2010 with $0, zero experience, zero university degree, and only some knowledge of digital marketing. So I needed to make money now. Today, it's 2022. I own a 7-digit digital marketing agency alongside my business partner. We have multiple employees. We have not only that digital marketing agency, but we have also invested in real estate where we own an Airbnb business here. We've invested in hotels. We've invested in other projects, and it keeps growing. Once you start that landslide, the avalanche keeps growing. And it was because of these core things that I'm going to tell you about, or these core tips that I'm going to share with you on how to make money quickly, that started my foundation, and eventually they were my foundation and eventually grew to become a digital marketing agency and larger business. So with that being said, let's get to number one. In order to make money now, in order to get a client fast and make money now, you need to learn how to sell. Yes, I know you may be an entrepreneur, a freelancer that knows a lot about your product and a lot about your service, and that's great. But if you don't know how to sell, or you're afraid of selling, it's going to be very hard to make money, especially to make it now. If you're not persistent with a client, if you're embarrassed about selling, if you are afraid of rejection, all of these psychological barriers inhibit your chances of making more and more money, or making money now in this case. I know because I had them myself. I had to go through different phases in my life in order to get over these fears. A fear of public speaking, a fear of rejection, a fear of sales, a fear of approaching a stranger and wondering what they think about me as I'm trying to sell my service or product. Yes, I think everybody has those fears. We live in a society where, especially now with social media, where everything looks perfect once it's edited and put out on the internet. Not many people do what I'm doing right now, which is I'm recording these videos live. Yes, they will be edited and put on YouTube in a condensed form so that they're more digestible to the user. But for me, this is a growing process. Being able to perform this in front of you almost flawlessly in order to be edited is a huge step and a huge fear that I'm conquering, because I, like many of you, fear public speaking. I, like many of you, fear rejection. When I see that there are 0 people viewing me live, that's a roadblock. That's a roadblock in my mind saying, like, why am I doing this if nobody's watching? But as my mentors have told me, and my mentors don't even know me, I've never met them. These are people that I follow online that have made it and that are telling me, you do every single video, every single live session as if 1 million people were watching you. Put that pressure on you. Make it as informative and as great as you can, because one day 1 million people will see it if you're consistent and you do this every single day. That's why I'm doing a live video recording every single day. So number 1 is to learn how to sell. How do you sell something to someone? Whether it's a service, whether you're a writer, a freelance writer, whether you're a digital marketing person, whether you're a Facebook marketing person, whether you are a graphic artist. There are many things that you can do virtually to make money. But how do you sell that to someone? Especially when you get in front of them and you're looking at them face to face and you know that they could benefit from your service, but how do you get to the point where you can actually take their money? Well, number 1, you've got to make it about them. Every time that you're talking to someone about your service or your product, it's not about you, even though it sounds almost backwards to say that. But when you're selling something to someone, it's not about your service. It's not about you. It's about them. So make and steer the conversations to them. Always make it about them. Find their pain points. Like, what is it that they didn't like about the previous freelancer that they worked with? What was it that they didn't like with the previous agency that they were working with? What was it that they did like? What were they paying? That would be great if they told you what they were paying. Sometimes they hold that as an ace up their sleeve or something. But if you have enough rapport and if you have enough of a relationship with the person that you're trying to pitch your service or product to, you can get that information. But the important thing is to make it about them. Make it about their pain points. Make it about what they liked and didn't like about their previous vendor. And listen, right? You don't keep talking. Nobody likes someone that keeps talking and talking and talking and doesn't listen. Have you ever been on a date with someone where they just keep talking about themselves, and you're not even saying anything? And then they said, "Man, I really love talking to you because you're such a great conversationalist." And you haven't said anything. It's because you've listened and you've made it about them. But then again, That's super annoying, right? For you. So you as a salesman, because that's what you are, whether you're a writer, whether you are a dancer, a dance instructor, a yoga instructor online, whatever it is, yeah, you're a yoga instructor, but you're also a salesman or saleswoman. You've got to learn how to sell. So number one, you make it about them. Number two, you do your research before reaching out. In the digital marketing space, for what I do digital marketing for drug and alcohol rehab centers in the United States. More importantly, we do search engine optimization, where we help them gain organic traffic for specific keywords, buying keywords like drug rehab in Las Vegas, drug rehab in New Jersey, etc., to get more buying clients organically so that they can reduce their paid ad spend, which is, imagine, that's my pitch. That's what I've memorized. And I say that to everyone. And not everybody is a drug rehab in the United States. But when I tell a lawyer, he's asking me, well, so what do you guys do? What does your agency do? I've heard some things. I say, well, we're a digital marketing agency that does search engine optimization for drug and alcohol rehab centers in the United States. So that when someone searches for example, drug rehab in Las Vegas, our client comes up on the first page of Google and they get organic traffic, not on the paid ads, but organic traffic, because usually drug rehab centers pay about $100,000, $150,000 in AdWords to Google to get traffic, to get about 500 calls. So our goal is to get 1,000 calls organically so that they can reduce that $100,000 to $150,000 budget and pay us a fraction of that cost, and their valuation goes up. Their cost acquisition goes up. Their cost goes down, the acquisition cost goes down, and their revenue goes up. So when I tell that elevator pitch to a lawyer, he's already thinking in his mind like, okay, how can these guys help me? And we do have clients in other sectors, but our main industry is drug rehab centers in the United States. So for me, I have to do my research first. Before I even get on a sales call with someone, I've already sent them what I've found. So how do I do research in digital marketing? Well, number one, I research their website. We do search engine optimization, so I want to know where their biggest wins are right now. And typically it's branded keywords when someone searches like a name or something, because they've probably done some sort of advertising on radio, TV or something. If they are some sort of any size drug rehab in their area, they've probably invested in some marketing, maybe not digital marketing, but some marketing where their name their brand does come up on Google pretty easily, and some people are finding it. So that's usually where I start. Say, okay, what are their wins and what are their losses? So how do I figure out what their losses are? I start investigating the competition. I check out their competition and I figure out what the competition is doing to be winning so much and my client or my potential client isn't doing. And I tell them. I literally tell them, I say, look, this is what they're doing, and you can do the same thing. And don't be afraid to give people answers or secrets. I've never been afraid of that. I know a lot of people, when they do business, they don't want to give away their secret sauce. But our secret sauce is out there on the internet already. If you search how to do search engine optimization, it's out there. Yet no one's going to do it. The client may do some of it, but they're not search engine optimization specialists. This is not what they do for a living. So they're probably not going to do it. Most likely, in my case, we've been rejected a few times because they found another provider that was either cheaper or that were friends with them, and they were chosen over us. And that's perfectly fine. But usually the client is not going to take it and run with it and be like, oh, I don't need this guy. He just gave me the secrets. No, they usually listen to you because they believe you are the expert, even if you don't have a lot of time doing this. Like I said, when I started 10 years ago and I didn't have shit, I was freshly deported from the United States of America here with no money, just a laptop that my mom sent me. It was my dad's laptop. Again, I didn't have anything, oversized clothes, because I lost a bunch of weight when I was in immigration detention, which is basically the penitentiary in Los Angeles. I needed to act like the specialist. I need to learn as much as possible about digital marketing so that when there was a question, I knew how to answer it and I knew how to sell. And part of selling is doing your research, researching the potential client before you even get in front of them, maybe sending them an email and saying, hey, this is some of the things that I found and I'd like to review them over a live call or over a Zoom call nowadays. Back in my day, it was literally a phone call. I had a Magic Jack with a Magic Jack app on the laptop, and I would call a US number, or I would do it through a Skype call. So yeah, do your research before reaching out. So this is all part of number one, learning how to sell. You need to learn how to sell. You need to build rapport first. Rapport means some sort of trust needs to be built. And like I said, what I do is before getting on a call with them, whether it's a referral from a friend or whether it's someone that may need my service and that a friend told me about and the friend gave a good word for me, or it's a family member, an uncle, an aunt, a cousin that has a business, before I even reach out to them, I do the research and I build some sort of rapport. It could even be a family member. Right there, the rapport is already easy to build because of the fact that they know you, but maybe you have a bad rep. Maybe you don't, you haven't come through on some things before in the past and you've turned a new leaf and you've started this new business and you want to do the best thing that you can for their business while getting paid for it. So maybe you do have to build some rapport. And one of the ways that I do it is by doing some preliminary research and sending it to them via email. And I don't just send an email with text because no one's going to sit there and read, a 500 to 1,000 or 2,000 word text of your research on their competition. The best thing to do is we're in an age where almost everything is free online. You can literally download a free screen capture software like Screencast-O-Matic, Loom. There are a few. If you just type in free screen capture video and show your potential client what you can do or what you found, this preliminary research, and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, I found that your website or your content, if you're a writer, is lacking these things. And this is why the competition is beating you. Show that on your screen. Make it a 5-10 minute video. Whenever I've done that, it's a home run. And then you say, let's schedule a call to go over this. And once they've seen it and scheduled a call, you already build rapport. They've already built a sense of trust. Even if it's your cousin, even if it's your uncle, even if it's your own father, you want to do this as if it were someone that you didn't know. You want to build that trust that you know what you're talking about. The next thing you want to do in order to learn how to sell is to contribute first and then sell later. So basically work for free, like I'm saying. What I do before I even get on a call, and even after I get on a call, I do some work for free, even to my clients that pay us, especially to a client that's going to pay $10,000, $30,000, $50,000, $80,000 a month to $100,000 a month. I will do free work first. It's very, very, very important. This is probably one of the biggest sales tactics there are out there. Just like when you go to the mall and pass the food court and people are handing you out a free sample, you think that doesn't cost them? The toothpick, the person that they hired to give you the free sample, the person that they hired to cook the free sample, the ingredients, the marketing, all of that costs, but they know that it's going to return a profit because it's a proven tactic. When you give something for free, people like that. You can give away everything for free. I've given so much information for free, case studies, things that we've done specifically on how we do our outreach for backlink building, how we create our content using our own spreadsheets and tools that anyone can purchase online. Anybody could do what we can do, but I give it out for free with zero fear that they're going to go and take it their own route and try to find a cheaper way. Because especially a client that has a bigger marketing budget, they're not going to go look for the cheap route because they know that in the end, the cheap route is more costly in the end. instead of paying a pro like myself or someone that knows what they're doing right away to get it done right, they go the cheap route and lose a ton of money and didn't get any results. So don't be afraid to give out your service for free at first or for very cheap. That to me is like one of the first things that I do. The next thing in order to learn how to sell is to ask questions and listen. Nobody likes a talker, especially a salesman, like a used. It always reminds me of the used car salesman. And I was in multi-level marketing right when I got out of jail in 2004. Was it? No, 2005. I joined a multi-level marketing company where we sold perfume on the street. And it was a bunch of kids selling perfume on the street for the big boss. He'd get a commission. We'd make money off the bottle that we sold. The idea was for us to learn how to sell well enough that we could teach other people to do it and get our own office. Eventually, I did get my own office. But yeah, one of the things that you learn is that you ask questions. The pitch when we were in multi-level marketing for perfume and selling them to strangers at Walmart parking lots, at the gas station, wherever we found people, we would drive up, park with our perfume in the back, in the trunk, and go up to people with a list and say, hey, excuse me, sir, what kind of cologne do you wear? Right there. And silence. That uncomfortable silence, if you learn how to hone that uncomfortable silence, that's half the battle right there, half the battle. Obviously, the other half is having the courage to come up to someone and say, hey, what kind of cologne do you wear? That's it. Don't keep talking. Don't be stressed with that uncomfortable silence. Just listen. Eventually they'll say, no, I don't wear cologne. I'll be like, okay, well, that's no problem. Well, in case you know somebody that does wear cologne, do you know anybody that does like to wear cologne in your family or that's close to you? Uncomfortable silence again. And they're forced to answer either yes or no. Well, the reason I ask is because you see my friends over there, and usually there was people hanging around the trunk of the car. We do fragrance shows in different parts of the city, and we've got a bunch of bottles left over, and we're selling them at wholesale price because they're the sampler size. Here's the list of what we wear. Maybe your wife or girlfriend wears something. And then they'd look at it. Or they'd just say flat out no. And if they did that, I wasted 3 minutes of my life, but it gained into my quota for the day of pitching 100 people for the day. So yes, you have to learn how to listen and don't be afraid of those uncomfortable silent moments. Those uncomfortable silent moments are super powerful for a salesman, actually, because you're forcing the other person to make the first comment. You want to force them to talk. So learn to listen. Learn to ask questions and ask the right questions. You know your product very well. Maybe you don't know these sales tactics, so you want to learn how to sell by asking questions and just listening. Sometimes you won't have the answer, and that's okay. I always defer to a higher power. I always defer to Joel. I'm like, well, I'm going to have to ask my business partner about this. I know the answer, and it's going to be an uncomfortable one, so I always defer to higher power, and I say, well, I'm not really sure. I've got to consult my business partner, or even if you don't have a business partner, say that. Don't look like an idiot trying to answer something that you don't know. If you don't know, say, well, I don't have that exact figure, but let me do some research and email it to you. Or let me call you back later with the answer. And then you go freaking learn what CSS is or what Adobe Illustrator is or whatever it is, whatever the case is, right? Another tactic for learning how to sell is to be mindful of psychological quirks. This is a little bit more advanced sales, but for example, when someone won't look you in the eye, that's a psychological cue. When someone is touching their hair, when someone is, their body language is sideways, these are all psychological cues that you can find out about. These are all psychological cues that you can find out about online. Literally, just type in psychological cues for sales. There are a ton of them, But if you know a couple of them, you'll start to detect them and say, oh, this person's uncomfortable when we talk about this subject, or oh, this person is deferring, or deferring to his wife to make a decision, or to his business partner, like I was just doing, deferring to a higher power, or to deferring to a spouse, etc. There are a lot of psychological cues for a reason why someone may not want to buy right now, or may not want to engage in service with you, where you say, well, I was going to give you this free thing, but let me add this other thing first. There's no commitment. I just want to give you this and show you what I can do. The next thing is to approach them on their level. You're not better than them just because you're a writer, a digital, marketer, a graphic artist, a consultant. You may know a lot about your industry, but in the end, they're just like you too. They're an entrepreneur. They're trying to make money. Figure out their pain points and give them some solutions. You may not have all of the solutions right away, but you want to look at them at their level. Put yourself in their shoes. That's part of the whole sales process of developing your own buyer persona. Finding out who are the people that are going to buy from you, put yourself in their shoes. What did they want? And put yourself at their level and talk to them at their level. For example, I can't get on a call with a CEO of a company and talk to them about digital marketing and technical search engine optimization, meta description, schema. I can't mention this stuff. I can mention it, but I can't go into detail. I can just tell them that, look, your pain point right now is that you're spending $100,000 on AdWords every month to get 500 calls. We've gotten these other clients from spending that to only spending $5,000 a month on AdWords because we've gotten organic SEO to give us about 500 to 1,000 calls every single month over the course of 3 to 5 years. That's what it takes. But if I can start reducing and moving that dial today, would that be something that would make you happy? Would that be something that you would want to take back to the board and say, look, I found a fucking solution for this problem? And talk to them at their level. You could even cuss if you built that rapport already. Remember, building rapport is part of it. And I do that all the time because it tells them that I am human. I do get frustrated. I understand the pain points, but I'm offering a solution. And finally, hit them on an emotional high point. Hit them with once you've reached an emotional high point with them, whether it's in your pitch, whether it's in the conversation, it might not come until after the third phone call. It might not come after the third sample you sent them of your work. But once you hit, and you'll recognize the emotional high point. The emotional point, for example, I'll give you an example of one that just happened with someone that owns a law firm. I did some preliminary research before we got on the call. I made a video. He didn't even watch the whole video. He just watched some of it. And I got on a call with him, a Zoom call, and I shared my screen. I said, look, this is what I found about your competition. This is what they're doing. This is why they're beating you. And you're not getting organic calls for certain keywords like accident attorney in Las Vegas or whatever the case is. I'm not gonna divulge who the client is, but he was like, okay, I understand the competition's doing this, but this is where the emotional high was. When I said, look, I don't know who's doing your SEO right now, who's doing your digital marketing, but this is what I found that they're doing. And I gave him evidence of some of the stuff that they were doing that wasn't up to par. It wasn't even close to up to par. It was subpar search engine optimization work. And once he saw that, I could see the shift in his emotion, and him thinking about how long. I don't know how long. I didn't ask. I just said, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but this is what they're doing. And this is what I would do differently, because this is not going to last very long if you keep doing this. Google doesn't like this type of work. So as I saw the change in his demeanor is when I said, well, I'm going to write the proposal and send it over to you. I'll send it over to you once I've figured it out with my partner here. And right there, he's basically closed. He already knows that we've found out what his current marketing company is doing, and they're doing it ass backwards, and we could do a better job, and that's why we charge more. So that's the beauty of that, is to be able to hit someone on an emotional high point. So that's number one. In order to make money now, you have to learn how to sell yourself, your service, and your product. You're not selling one, you're selling all three. You're selling yourself, your product, and or your service. That's the key. You have to learn how to sell. And you do that by making it about the buyer. Do your research before reaching out. Build a rapport. Contribute something first and then sell second. Give something for free, or give a lot for free and then start charging, or give a lot for a very low price and then start charging more. That's why those free offers or free trials always exist. Ask questions and listen. Be mindful of psychological cues or quirks. Approach them at their level and then hit them at the emotional high of the sales process. Number two is to work with friends, family, acquaintances, and colleagues. Those are the easiest people to sell to. If you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to make money now. You don't have time to be afraid to approach people. So you have to get over this fear, especially if it's a family member. I know how fearful that can be to approach someone that you know. Sometimes it's even scarier to approach a family member, an acquaintance, a friend, a colleague, or former colleague with your new service, your new product. That can be scarier sometimes than actually approaching a stranger. But you have to get over this fear, and the way that you do it is by doing it. But you have to take those things that I talked about learning how to sell, and get prepared, right? Be prepared and approach them. So how do you approach a family member? And you can do this for pretty much any service. I know that, some people are writers, some people are freelance, digital marketers, or not even in digital field. They're maybe a plumber, but they want to branch out and do it themselves, or maybe be a consultant and branch out and become a consultant for something else. Whatever it is that you're doing, you could probably use this for all of these products or services. So number one, you want to be prepared and, hype yourself up for the sales process. So be prepared for the sales process. Even if it's your own mom or dad, there will be a sales process. For digital marketing, like I said, before I approached someone, when I first started, whether it was a family member, an acquaintance, and that's how I started, was by reaching out to my social circle, the people that I knew back in California that had businesses, my own parents, telling them to figure out who they had in their network that could use my business or my service of building a website, handling their social media, etc. And once I found those people, I started to analyze their website and build a small pitch around what they already have and what the competition was doing. So that's how you do it. That's how you freaking do it. Once you figure out who you're going to target out of your friends, family, acquaintances, or colleagues, you want to do your research first. Analyze whatever they have now and how you can make it better, or how you can improve their business or their life with whatever it is that you're offering, and then approach them. Don't be embarrassed. The first thing that you need to know is that you have to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, believe in your service and or product, and that will make that embarrassment subside, or that fear subside. So be proud of what you do. People can feel that energy. When you feel proud about what you do and you're self-confident in your ability to do whatever it is that you're going to offer, people can feel that energy. And how do you do that sometimes? You may need to make videos. You may need to upload them to YouTube about you explaining your product. That's easier than going up to a person. Who cares? Probably no one's going to watch your video, or very little people are going to watch your video. But once it's out there and you can see it, that confidence starts growing. So get over the fear. Prepare yourself when you realize who you're going to approach, and practice. Whether it's making a video, practicing in front of a mirror, practicing with your very best friend or your brother or your sister that you know you're not going to get that immediate rejection from. It's just practice. Start practicing it. Because that energy, your potential buyer can feel it. And what better way to do it than making videos or doing something? You know that since I've started creating these videos online, and I don't get a lot of live viewers yet, it's only been about a month of me doing this, but with the recorded videos, I've already gotten 2 clients for digital marketing just by putting myself out there. That's what you have to do, conquering your fear of putting yourself out there. And if you want to sell yourself, you need to market yourself. And we're in a digital age. Marketing yourself means professional pictures, videos of you talking about your product and your service, videos of people talking about your product or your service that you gave them for free. If you're just starting out, why not give something to someone for free? For example, say, hey, you're a writer, and you say, hey, I'm going to write a piece for you, but in return, can you make a little video about how well I wrote it or what you felt about it? And oh, by the way, the revisions are unlimited, so let me write a sales piece, or let me write a piece for you on your blog, etc., about your target audience or about your target audience's needs or problems or deal breakers, etc. Whatever it is, you do it, give it to someone, and in return for a testimonial. Testimonials are huge. So that's how you start that process of getting a client quickly. And when I say quickly, it's not within a day or two. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. Nothing great was built overnight. Nothing that lasted for years was built overnight. For me, it took me 10 years to get to the point where I am today, from being broke, freshly into Colombia, out of the United States. It took me 10 years. But here I am. And now this empire, or this small empire that I've built, is going to last me, hopefully, for the rest of my lifetime and generations to come. So number 2 is to approach friends, family, acquaintances, and colleagues. Number 3 is to ask for referrals from friends, family, acquaintances, and colleagues. And how do you ask for referrals? That's the easy part, because when you get rejected, it's very easy and it's almost natural to say, well, do you know anybody, or can you do me a favor? You have to be confident. You ask them to do a favor for you. They're your friend, your family member, they're your colleague at work or whatever, and say, hey, can you do me a favor? Now that you know what I do, can you think of 3 people that either own a business that my service can help or my product can help? Can you write down their phone number and give it to me, or their email address and give it to me? Like right now? Well, I'm not in front of my computer or whatever. Okay, well, let me call you back. When are you going to, literally, this is how it has to be. When are you going to get back on the computer? When can I call you back about this? Because this is really important for me, because I'm trying to build my portfolio. I'm trying to branch out and be independent. So this is super important. How can you help me with that? I know that you know people. If you can't think of it right now, let's set a time and I'll call you back tomorrow around this time, or next week around this time. Doesn't matter, no pressure, but for me, it's super important. And when you approach someone like that and they can see that this is super important for you, they're going to want to help. And on top of that, what I do is and I still do this to this day, and this is how I get referrals from other people, is that, well, on top of that, if you do know someone, I'll give you a commission. I usually pay between 10 to 20% on commission. So now that you know what I charge and what my service is, I can cut you in on that, because you're doing me a favor, but I'm not asking you to do it for free. I will definitely compensate you for that favor, but I just need to get the ball rolling. And when you speak to someone, even if it's your own family member that really didn't believe in you or that didn't really, trust you in the past. But when you start talking with that vocabulary, they're like, okay, something changed in this person, something clicked, and they'll start replying, or they'll start reacting to your favor or to your questions, right? So again, once you get that referral, you have to go through the whole sales process. You need to be prepared. You need to be confident. You need to practice your pitch. You need to give them something for free, and you've got to ask a ton of questions and make it about them once you get that referral. So that's number 3, is to get referrals from friends, family, acquaintances, and relatives, and colleagues. And number 4, finally, once you've done all this, you need to start approaching strangers. So hopefully by this time, you've already gained enough confidence where you've gotten rejected enough times from your own family, friends, family, acquaintances, and colleagues that you can now approach strangers. And this will happen quickly. I'm not talking about, oh, I'm going to approach my friends, family, and acquaintances and colleagues this month, and then next month I'm going to start thinking about approaching strangers. No, this happens within a day or two. Many friends, family, acquaintances, and colleagues. You need to contact them immediately, and you need to take massive action. You have to build on that energy immediately. Within 1 or 2 days, you've contacted everyone within your close network on your phone and talked to them, sent them an email, did some research, and pitched your service and asked them for a referral. Now it's time to get in front of a stranger. So how do you do that? If you're in digital marketing, anybody that you can approach online is great. Well, how do you do that? So I always give the example of the graphic artist. If I were a graphic artist and I knew something about branding or sales through images, etc., or through digital art, I would find people that could use my product. I would find small businesses that had maybe a shit logo, and there are a ton of them because a ton of them use their own little free logo makers online or Canva and try to make their own little logo to save on money. And I'd go find them and I'd say, wow, this person's logo is crap. I'll create a logo for them, send it to them, and say, hey, my name is Andrew, and I'm a graphic artist, and I make logos, and I'm building my portfolio right now. I saw that you didn't have that. I saw your logo, and I thought it could use some improvement. This is what I did. Boom. Oh, and on top of that, this is the color palette that I used. This is the font that I used, and this is the breakdown on how to use it. Make sure that you give space on the top and the bottom and on the sides, padding, whatever you call it in the digital art world. Give them all this information. Give it for free. If you do that for 100 people, I guarantee that you're going to sell a couple. I guarantee you someone's going to come back and say, oh, I really loved how you did this. How much do you charge for this? Or on top of that, we don't really want a new logo, but we do need branding. And on top of that, you may know something about social media. Oh, by the way, I can make these what you have existing already so that it fits on all the social media platforms when you publish it. And since I'm a graphic artist, I can create the art for your posts, and I can write too. So I can create the creative. I could do the whole creative process for you, working with you to manage your social media and put it up, and then automate it through a system like Buffer, where posts are scheduled and automatically updated on various social media platforms. Right there, I just thought of a solution for a lot of pain points that many small to medium-sized businesses have, which is digital art, branding, and social media management. And if I approached 100 people the way I just told you, I'd have a client or two within a few days. I've done it before, but I didn't approach 100 people. I found out a system to be able to reach between 5 to 10,000 people via email a month. And here's the little secret. Every Chamber of Commerce, well, not every, but a lot of the Chamber of Commerce locations in the United States, when you sign up for the Chamber of Commerce as a new business or a small business or whatever business that you just established, you're giving them your information in order for them to establish you as a business in the Chamber of Commerce, or even the Better Business Bureau. All these agencies, they make a lot of money selling data. So when you start a new business and you go through the Chamber of Commerce, you put your email address, your business name, your name, etc. And then when you sign the fine print, it says that we're welcome to sell your information. And that's what they do. They sell lists of email addresses of new businesses. You can buy those lists and start emailing the shit out of them. And that's what I did. I found an automated service. Actually, it was a piece of software that you could buy for $75, which is called Send Blaster. You have to buy some SMTPs, which are private mailers, so that you're not using your own email address and then get blacklisted, because this is spam. But like I said, 10 years ago, I didn't give a fuck about spam or, I'm scared. Or what are people going to think when they see my email? No, I was sending 1,000 emails a day through this Send Blaster until I got a couple clients, got the ball rolling, and then eventually in 2014 started the digital marketing agency. And here we are today, where I have to send 0 emails for marketing because we get everything through referral. Or I've gotten a couple now to do these videos, which is awesome. That's why I'm going to continue to make them, because I know what I'm talking about. It's been 10 years. I've been doing this long enough that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to digital marketing. And I know what I'm talking about when it comes to sales and marketing and promoting yourself in order to get your client quickly and make money now. You can't wait. You've got to do it now, and you've got to take massive action. If you think that you're only going to pitch your 5 close friends and family members, or those 2 colleagues that you know have a side hustle and you can help them with their business with your service or product, you're not going to make it. You're going to maybe get a job out of it, but the probability is very low. But with that attitude, you're not going to get more. And on top of that, once you get those clients, you're just trading your hours for your service or product that you're giving them. The next step is to find people that charge less than you do and outsourcing the work, but managing them so that the quality is still high, and charging your client double, triple, quadruple the price, because you know how to manage people. But that's for another video. That's a whole different story. But right now, in order to make money now, those are my 4 tips. And those are the 4 things that I did in my life. Was number 1, I learned how to sell. And for me, that process took a few years to master. Number 2 was to work for friends, family, acquaintances, and colleagues right away. Number 3 was to get referrals from friends, family, acquaintances, and colleagues. And number 4 was to approach strangers. And not just 1 or 2 strangers, but at least 100 strangers today. And continue that every single day until you hit your goal, which is to make money now. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you like the content, make sure to smash the like button. Make sure to hit the subscribe button on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Instagram, and on Twitch. I'm on Twitch as well, because I do play video games and record it as well. And I do play them live. So thank you guys for joining Life Hacks with Andrew. I'll see you next time. All right, that was a 49-minute video. 49 minutes. Yeah, so that was pretty good. 49 minutes is good enough. I've recorded it. I did it live, like I said I would. I've made a commitment to do a live video every single day, at least for the rest of this year. I don't know where this business is going to evolve, because this is a business. This channel that I'm creating, this personal brand, is a business. My goal is to make an extra stream of income of about $10,000 a month doing this, whether it's consulting. I don't know how it's going to evolve, but that's the type of entrepreneur I am. I do have a plan. I do have a method, but I don't know what it's going to evolve to make that $10,000, whether it's the courses that I'm making, whether it's the consulting that I can do. I don't want to trade my hours for time, that's for sure. So consulting may be out of the window, but if someone comes up to me and says, hey, we'll pay you, $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month to consult on our digital marketing for the next 3 to 6 months, I would not turn that down. So maybe it'll evolve to a consulting company, or maybe it will evolve to just me building courses and selling the courses because I don't have to be actively doing, the hours to teach, right? Because they're recorded. So there's a lot of things, or there's a lot of routes this can take, but I do know one thing. I will get there because I know myself and I have an obsessive attitude. I'm a workaholic and I love projects. I love to do this. I really like this. It was a fear of mine to come up in front of the camera live to record these, episodes of Life Hacks with Andrew. But at the end of the day, after a month, I feel very comfortable. I've analyzed and watched myself do them. And as I've did that, I corrected many things. For example, if you notice in some of my first videos, I said the word or the stop word. What is that? That's a crutch. I use the crutch a lot. And I use the word like a lot. And I noticed that that's not a good look on camera. So now I'm very conscious of the way I express myself and I talk and I deliver the content. I've prepared myself more. I've practiced more before coming on camera. Some of these recordings that I'm doing, it's a second time on the same subject. So I know what I'm talking about so that there aren't those awkward pauses where I have to say or like and then start loading my brain with information to deliver. So this is an evolution. And everything is in life is an evolution. There's an evolution to everything. Just like you and your business will have some sort of evolution and growth, I'm going to do that myself. You're going to be able to see it live or in the recorded versions. 4 years from now, don't be that person that is sitting in front of the computer or your cell phone watching my videos and saying, hey, this guy grew from literally 0 subscribers to 100,000 subscribers and making $10,000 a month on his consulting business, on his course selling business, etc. And I didn't take action. You've got to take action now. If you need help taking action, contact me. I'm an open book. Everybody knows about my life. Everybody knows what I do. And that's how I conduct myself, because I think honesty is the best policy. And being vulnerable and making yourself vulnerable makes you stronger, especially in a world now where everyone's afraid of what other people think. So again, thank you guys for joining this live recording of